Okay, this is the residence at 13464 74th Avenue in Seminole, Florida. This is my house. I'm Steve Kalnessy. So this is to document condition of the house and damage that we've found or things that are going on associated with Hurricane Irma that happened in September, early September of 2017. If you notice when we're panning, you'll see that this is the residence, and then there's a lot of trees in the yard, you can see. And then we'll walk around the house and I'll show you some of the problems that we have. This is just to show the street that we live on. This is 74th Avenue, and all down this street the day of the storm and for weeks after, the street was not accessible. The entire street was with down trees, power lines. We didn't have power for 10 days. Many of the homes in the area had oak trees and other large trees that were completely taken out of the ground. The property was littered with debris from the storm. This fence was down. As you can see, we propped it back up, but it was completely down. There were tree branches on it, and there's various areas that were damaged, as you can see in this part of the fence. This is part of my claim. So the brick facade on the front of the house has numerous areas where there's cracks. There were some cracking prior to the storm, but the cracking has gotten worse. Prime examples are here, and here. And here. Frames throughout the house no longer open or shut properly. The frames or the doors, I suspect the frames, have caused the house doors not to open properly. Okay, entering the house. So prior to the storm, doors all worked properly. Examples, this is a closet door. The door, you can see, doesn't open. It has to be forced to open. Doesn't shut. Okay, so other doors. The master bedroom door, no longer fits properly, as you can see. In the bathroom door, the main bathroom, you shut the door doesn't open. So the only way to close it or to open it is to force down. With a disabled person living in the house, she can't close the door anymore because she can get locked in. In this bathroom, there's also new cracking in the ceiling. In the master bedroom, the room shakes. As you can hear, with the slightest movement, the entire place shakes with almost no effort. In the second bedroom, the door no longer closes properly or opens properly. This was not the case before the storm. Everything moved smoothly. There was no effort in trying to manipulate the doors. Again, everywhere in the house is shaking now. It was all stable prior to the storm. In the master bathroom, There's new cracking in the ceiling. This wasn't there prior to the storm. That's fairly new, so which tells us that that the house is getting movement. It wasn't doing this prior to the storm. Everything was secure. The exit to the master bathroom door, as you can see, no longer opens and closes properly. There's a brick wall inside the den, and there's some areas that are also have some cracking. Example is right there. While there was some, I believe there was some like minor cracking prior to the storm, it's gotten worse. In the den, the exterior doors, the French doors, which all worked and locked and everything properly before the storm, no longer work properly. The door can't be locked anymore. It has to be. It won't even lock anymore. The inspector that came from the insurance company indicated that the framing seemed to be off. This is all worked properly before the storm. Room off of the den in the dining room. The door after the storm swelled from the heat and humidity, and then when it was dried out, the door stopped working. As you can see, the door no longer works properly. We'll provide photos, but this part of the ceiling was collapsed from a leak in the roof that was caused by tree debris that fell down on the roof. The carpet had been damaged and torn out, and then there was evidence of mold. We just found black mold, about a 2-foot section of black mold behind a baseboard. I've provided a photo of that. The insurance company said that there was no evidence of mold or of continued leaking. I have replaced the floor and had the ceiling corrected because I was losing utilities for 3 months, and because there was continued damage to the house because of the hole in the roof. So we closed it off. So now I'm going to take you for a tour around certain areas where it seems to be some problems with the foundation. You'll notice shaking, rattling that is going on. This continues to get worse, but it started immediately after the storm. So we're going into the kitchen. It's a tile floor. As you can hear, takes very little effort. This is in the living room. This shaking started after the storm, within days after. We did not occupy the house for nearly 10 days after the storm because there was no power. The shaking continues. As you can see, shakes everywhere. This part of the house sits on a crawl space. Under the crawl space, some of the supports have fallen over. This was identified as part of an engineering inspection. Okay, so then in the living room, if you notice, this is a great example. I'm going to put just a little bit of a bounce. This is what's going on everywhere in the house. Okay, so this is on top of the roof. As you can see, after the storm, this was completely covered with large tree branches. As you can see that there's trees all around this house. The insurance company sent out a crew to tarp it. This tarp has been up here for 3 months on the flat side of the roof. There was flooding. There was a tree branch about the size of this tree branch that was lying on here. There was a hole here that I covered with duct tape to prevent any further water coming in. It's about 2 inches. It's penetrated this material that's on the roof, and the tree branch, I believe, crushed in the whatever roofing material is under this membrane, which is why water's pools on here. This I swept yesterday. It was clean just from overnight. This water doesn't go off anymore. As you can see, it gives. The insurance company said that this was probably pre-existing. I disagree. There was never water that was pooling up there. Now it can't get off of the roof. It's my belief that high winds moved these trees, which are so close to the house that they can't. Probably tried to get out of the ground. They can't get out. Couldn't get out. So the house held them down. Probably caused some movement or shifting of the house itself. There was rushing water. You can see from the street to the water. We're right next to the water. That water would have been rushing down with 8 inches of rain in as many hours. But the insurance company insists that this is not the case. Although the inspection report from their own engineer states that the house any existing conditions would have been exacerbated by the storm. There's also some damage to the roof of the small garage. It's important to note that there was some. It is an old. That is an old roofing material, so there may have been some damage to it prior. Also on the roofing, if you notice, whatever the material is that's coming together is now has movement. It didn't before the storm. The insurance company didn't send a roofer, so there's no way to know what the condition of the material is under the roofing. They said that they didn't want to disturb it, so they weren't going to investigate any further. The other thing that's going on in the house is that almost every cabinet doesn't shut properly or operate properly. So here's an example in the bathroom. This no longer works properly. Drawers are not working properly. As you can see, they're not free flowing. Everything is tighter, which indicates that it's now, I think that there's some sinking. So there's some new settlement issues that I think are related to the supports under the house that are no longer supporting the house. And I think rushing water from the storm affected the soil. These are examples everywhere in the house